But first, not tired of winning? That's the focus of tonight's angle.
Consumer spending is up, business investment is way up, domestic manufacturing is way up, the real disposable family income is up, and personal savings are up. Other than that, we're not doing so great.
Well, he's right. America's economy is looking very bright. In fact, it's blowing past expectations. Today, the second quarter GDP came in at 3%, 3%, after a contraction in Q1. Now, that means we're on track for a good year, which is not what Too Late Powell projected just weeks ago.
In our summary of economic projections, the median participant projects GDP to rise 1.4% this year and 1.6% next year, somewhat slower than projected in March.
I'm sorry, he's just such a weenie. We're going to check back with him in December, those final numbers. Now, imagine what the GDP would have been if Powell had lowered interest rates when he should have. It's already 3%. Now, of course, since liberals have no answer to any of Trump's successes, they simply pretend that numbers aren't actually real.
Today's GDP number is, in fact, a mirage because some ominous numbers lurk under the hood. Business investment plunged in the second quarter by 3.1%. Businesses are worried about growing their operations, worried about hiring more workers. Trump's tariffs are weighing down the U.S. economy, spiking costs.
As for the media figures who were sure tariffs would be Trump's undoing, they came up with their own fantasy lines.
Microsoft and Meta, they're spending so much money on AI. So that's another thing that could be making it look like our economy is stronger than it actually is.
This headline GDP figure, it's misleading, and that's because the trade war is distorting all of these metrics. Imports this time, they actually went down sharply because of tariffs. That actually adds to GDP. And so that's why economists say that this GDP improvement, it's really a mirage.
Oh, my gosh, the mirage. That was the word of the day that went out today, obviously. Well, the mirage here, of course, is that the Democrats' repeated fear-mongering about all things Trump was a total fraud. Did they really not understand that Trump uses tariffs, stay with me, kids, as a tool and as leverage to help America wean itself off of reliance on imports? So when imports go down, that's actually good. That means we make more of our own stuff. The point is, we want to be our own supplier in key manufacturing sectors, like for medicines, satellites, chips, and ships. And Democrats, well, remember, they used to be for American workers, but now they're just for hammering Trump.
The left and people that don't like the president and don't want things to work. And, you know, like Senator Elizabeth Warren will come on and say, inflation's out of control and the economy is getting killed by what's happening by these tariffs. None of these horrible things have happened, but they still talk like it's happening.
And the Democrats, of course, as you pointed out, really don't want to see the current administration have some success. But there's no doubt that this is some success.
Bingo. But let's not stop at the economy, because earlier this month, Border Patrol went on a hiring spree, and ICE is giving out massive bonuses for former agents who rejoin the agency, all because the administration is ramping up deportations. That's great news. A new report yesterday revealed that there are apparently almost 2 million illegals here who have deportation orders. That means they're supposed to be deported, but they're still roaming around the country. Well, Trump wants them out. Good. What ICE is doing is making America's streets safer, and arrests include MS-13 members, human traffickers, repeat violent offenders, like twice-deported rapist Guatemala national David Cabrera, who was released back in 2022 under the sanctuary policies of Arlington, Virginia. That's about 7 miles from where we're broadcasting. Now, that's a win for national security. It's a win for every law-abiding American. Democrats should be cheering that. But look, on this trade issue, this was supposed to be another so-called Trump disaster. But it's the opposite. In July, the U.S. collected nearly $28 billion in tariff revenue, bringing the 2025 total to $150 billion. That, my friends, is record-breaking. Trump just locked in a historic deal with Europe that will begin to rebalance what is a long broken trade relationship with them. And that means more American exports, more U.S. jobs, more leverage for us. They had all the leverage before, no longer. Now, all Democrats have to offer, though, is lame anecdotes, stunts, and contrived emotion. Senator Amy Klobuchar recalled some poor woman in Minnesota who apparently was looking sadly at her grocery receipt.
I was up in Grand Marais, Minnesota, and saw someone walk out of a grocery store, just happened to be walking in, saw her look at her receipt. She's looking down, and she's just, no, no. That's how people are feeling. They're looking down at those going, no, no, I can't afford this.
Where was that sentiment back in June of 2022 when inflation under Biden hit 9.1%? Yeah, sure, prices are still too high in some areas. But yes, the economy is now growing. There will be more money in people's pockets. That's great because wages are rising. And Americans are finally beginning to see a way out of Biden's economic ditch. So let's recap. The border, enforced. Criminals, they're being deported. Trade, fairer. Tariff revenue, record-setting. GDP, outperforming. But instead of reevaluating their policies, the Democrats are engaged in endless navel-gazing about messaging and tone and personality. From pandas on Gen Z outreach panels to Democrats at the gym. Well, it's all tough to watch.
What the is up? Let's go!
Talk a little bit about this bill they passed.
It's sad. It's pathetic. It's actually pretty boring. But you know what's not boring? Winning. And that's the angle.
The Panicans got it wrong again.
Up 3%. Up 3%. Better than expected. That would be the highest level since the third quarter of 24 when it was up 3.1%. On the consumption side, up 1.4, very close to estimates. Up 1.4 would be the best since the last quarter of 24.
The economy is roaring, and we're a golden ticket away from the golden age. But the guy with the tickets is holding us hostage. 3%, way better than expected. Too late, must now lower the rate. 47 says too late. Jerome's costing the country a fortune.
Each point that this gentleman keeps up costs us $365 billion a year. Think of that. 1 point, $365 billion. If you bring it down a point, we save 365. I call him too late. You know, he's always too late. Even if he does it today, probably won't. For what reason? Nobody knows.
So what did the Fed chair do? Nothing.
In support of our goals, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to leave our policy interest rate unchanged.
Did this guy get hit in the head renovating the Fed? 3% growth, low unemployment, business investment booming, and inflation's only at 2.1%. 2.1. And unlike Bidenomics, wages are growing faster than inflation. And also, unlike Bidenomics, we're creating jobs for Americans, not illegals. Americans have gained 2 million jobs, and illegals have lost 500,000. And what do you know? The fruit's not dying on the vine. So, what's Powell's excuse this time? He cut 3 times last year for Biden-Harris, and their inflation rate was higher than Trump's. It's got to be personal, because he cut when he was told to by Pocahontas.
He said he waited too long, and the best way you can show that you waited too long and that you get it and that you are becoming more responsive to where we are on interest rates is actually go ahead and do a nice big rate cut.
Today at the rate meeting, there was a mutiny. 2 governors who want to cut voted against Jerome. That hasn't happened since 1993. Clinton hadn't even met Lewinsky yet.
And it does show how Fed Chair Powell, he's not just facing pressure from the White House to cut interest rates, he's also facing pressure from some of his colleagues inside this building.
Chuck Schumer, who doesn't even know how to grill a burger, is accusing Trump of putting out fake numbers.
While the Trump administration will try to wave rosy headlines about the Q2 number, Today's GDP number is, in fact, a mirage.
A mirage is when you see things that aren't there, like Joe Biden in the White House. The entire Democrat Party is a mirage. You take away USAID, illegals, and mail-in ballots, and there's no there there. Even CNBC panicans are mocking Chuck and Pocahontas.
Senator Elizabeth Warren will come on and say inflation's out of control and the economy is getting killed by what's happening by these tariffs. This 3% with the market at new highs, and really we haven't seen inflation, but none of these horrible things have happened, but they still talk like it's happening. It's amazing.
There's an important lesson there. Don't pick a congressman to be your money manager. The Democrats, of course, as you pointed out, really don't want to see the current administration have some success. But there's no doubt that this is some success.
Don't pick a congressman to be your money manager, except Pelosi. More on her later. The mainstream media is admitting that Trump is winning. Numbers don't lie, and the deals keep coming. We have just concluded a deal with the country of Pakistan, whereby Pakistan and the United States will work together on developing their massive oil reserves. We're going to drill, baby, drill in Pakistan after they harbored bin Laden, or as Obama says, Pakistan. And Trump says he just got a deal with South Korea, 15% tariff rate. They buy our energy and invest here in America, and they open up their whole market. POTUS is bringing the doubters on notice.
Critics said that our tariffs would hurt the economy, but the data shows the exact opposite, and the exact opposite is happening. Foreign imports were down 30% in the second quarter, while the domestic auto production surged by a stunning 36%. How about that number, Dr. Oz? Right, that's good.
All the good news is making Democrats blow a fuse. Their attacks are falling flat, so they're turning on each other like the Real Housewives.
The Democratic Party needs a wake-up call. It's time for Democrats to have a backbone. It's time for us to fight. It's time for us to draw lines. Don't question my integrity. Don't question my motives. I'm standing for Jersey. I am standing for my police officers. I'm standing for the Constitution, and I'm standing for what's right. And dear God, if you want to come at me that way, you're going to have to take it up with me.
Rules for men: control your emotions. You never see Trump lose his cool, even when they arrested him and put him on trial. The great Paul Moreau quoted Ernest Hemingway on the Five and said, "Don't confuse movement with action." Democrat Dan Turrentine, rhymes with wine, agrees.
You have Booker, who keeps giving angry speeches, right? He doesn't do anything. He doesn't offer anything. He just screams fight. So he's the hysteria caucus right now.
Democrats were texting reporters during Spartacus's screed that they were rhymes with hissed. They were calling him a theater kid, and an attention rhymes with door.
There's a way to change a bill. And then there's a way to get in the opening segment of Morning Joe and on the front page of the New York Times. And Corey chose the latter rather than the former.
Corey's my senator, and all he does is yell at me. If that's all it takes, then we might as well elect Jessica Tarlov. Just like Mayor Pete's beard, this isn't working. With guys like Booker, Beto, and Buttigieg getting in catfights with Amy Klobuchar, no wonder Democrats feel like they don't have any men in their party. According to a new survey, they can't name a single Democrat more masculine than Barack Obama. Barry, who crosses his legs and is glad he never had a son. That Barry, who said boys should stop playing sports and take their gay friend to the theater. That Barry. So Democrats are forced to role play. Swalwell's hitting the weights, and now he's calling out Gutfeld. Quote, "Here's a deal for Gutfeld. The deal, if tough guy benches more than me for 10 reps, I'll leave Congress. If not, he leaves Fox News. I'll give Greg 48 hours to accept, and then I'm calling him Gutlessfeld." Gutfeld's an old man, Congressman. Take it easy on him. Democrats are like little orphan Annies. Their father got cooed and disappeared into Delaware, and now their mom left home. Kamala just made a big announcement. Quote, "After deep reflection, I've decided that I will not run for governor in this election. For now, my leadership and public service will not be in elected office." Hunter Biden, when reached for comment, told us, that's interesting. Kamala's not running because she was going to lose. Donors weren't giving. And she was going to have to run a tough primary. So to save face, she's going to sit on her keister in California and nag Doug. Since mommy and daddy are out of the picture, Democrats are going to have to grow up the hard way. Screaming, singing, and dancing won't make you into a man. First, they should try crushing deals and drives.
Did you get to see my drive in the first hole?
You hit it straight pretty high.
I did. Pretty long. Pretty long. That's no Joe Biden, let me tell you. That's not Biden, right? That was a good drive.
But first, once again, the so-called experts, they are dead wrong. The second quarter GDP numbers are in. They exceeded any and all expectations spectacularly. The U.S. is now growing at 3% for the second quarter, outpacing inflation. Consumer spending is up. Jobs are up. The unemployment rate is down. The stock market is breaking records, and inflation now hovering right around the target goal of 2%. Meanwhile, major trade deals, one after another, rolling in every single week and breaking tonight as we come on the air. President Trump announcing a huge new deal with South Korea that includes a $350 billion investment inside our country right here in the U.S. And yet our economy is still heavily weighted down because of one person, the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, who simply flat out refuses to lower interest rates like most of the rest of the world. He's keeping them sky high. It hurts every borrower. It's hurting the country, but especially first-time home buyers or those wishing to build a home or those wanting to buy a bigger home or another home. They can't because they can't give up their 3% 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. America's housing supply is virtually frozen because of Jerome Powell. Sales of pre-existing homes stalled, new home construction stalled, all because of Powell, who seems to have nothing but antipathy and hatred for President Donald Trump. Just today, he announced that there would be no cut at all, not a full basis point, not a half a point, not a quarter percentage point, nothing. He is fixated on blaming Donald Trump's tariff policies for his decision to keep rates high, policies that are paying off spectacularly. In the month of June, for the first time in 20 years, we had a budget surplus. Look at all the trade deals, one after another after another. Anyway, take a look.
Total PCE prices rose 2.5% over the 12 months ending in June, and that, excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 2.7%. These readings are little changed from the beginning of the year, although the underlying composition of price changes has shifted. Services inflation has continued to ease, while increased tariffs are pushing up prices in some categories of goods. Near-term measures of inflation expectations have moved up on balance over the course of this year on news about tariffs, as reflected in both market-based and survey-based measures.
All right, according to Powell, you have to forget what's actually happening right now, disregard all the current inflation and the growth numbers, and ignore every trade deal now with South Korea, Great Britain, the EU, China, others, Vietnam, Indonesia. By the way, and Australia will be importing American beef for the first time since mad cow disease. You know, just look into his crystal ball. In reality, based on this chart put out by the White House, the United States is home to some of the highest, look at that right there, highest interest rates in the world. Great Britain, UAE, Australia, Canada, China, all have lower interest rates. In fact, our interest rate is more than double the current rate in the Eurozone, more than 8 times the interest rates in Japan. So what is going on here? Frankly, I'll make it simple. It's time for Jerome Powell to resign, get out of the way. As a country, this is causing hundreds of billions of dollars in higher interest rates for our government alone. That means you will pay that bill. He clearly subscribes to Chucky Schumer's magical way of thinking, a guy who thinks that these strong economic numbers are nothing more than an illusion. Take a look.
And while the Trump administration will try to wave rosy headlines about the Q2 number, today's GDP number is in fact a mirage because some ominous numbers lurk under the hood. Donald Trump's tariffs are weighing down the U.S. economy. spiking costs for small businesses and families alike. And if Donald Trump keeps up the chaos, the dangers for the economy will continue to get worse.
Same guy that said the border was closed and the border was secure. Same guy that said, oh, Joe is vigorous and he's not in cognitive decline. The same guy that said inflation is transitory.
Thanks for coming. You can leave your car keys in the bowl. I'm not sure what that means, but good evening, everyone. So President Trump recently said he never went to Epstein Island, but Bill Clinton went there 28 times. Clinton defended himself by saying it was the only way to use his frequent pervert miles. Singer Katy Perry was spotted on a date with Canada's former Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau.
Ew.
I know. Who knew she was a lesbian? Kissed a girl for sure. In a recent poll, young men struggled to name any masculine leader within the Democratic Party except Obama, causing the pollsters to ask, which one? He has a stepbrother. Doesn't he have a stepbrother? Rick. Yeah, Rick Obama. Rick Hussein Obama. Geese have reportedly caused a popular beach in Finland to be covered in a shocking amount of poop. Define shocking amount of poop, said Joe Biden's night nurse. Coors Light is now offering their own deodorant.
Wow.
I know, and true to the Coors brand, you need 12 of them for it to start working. An 8.8 magnitude earthquake shook Russia yesterday. The resulting tsunami waves hit the California coast so hard, citizens were forced to use the Kardashians as flotation devices. Researchers have found that a pair of drugs can restore memory in mice, which is really bad news for the rodents trying to forget Richard Gere. Let them move on. Let them get on with their lives. Some pervert threw a green dildo onto the court at a WNBA game. I know. Fans were shocked because it was butt plug night. I'm sorry.
Thanks for coming on.
We're cleaning up this show, I swear. We're cleaning it up. American Eagle's stock has gone way up since airing the Sydney Sweeney jeans commercial. Also up, boners. Do we have like 13-year-olds writing for this show? Terrible. And finally, scientists are now dressing pigs in clothes and burying them in Mexico, except for one that fled to Ireland. All right. We're done. Get that away. Get it away. Even I feel dirty after that one. All right, so this weekend, Trump struck a massive trade deal with the EU worth hundreds of billions of dollars. This after Trump's agreement with Japan last week. So you see a pattern here? Trump is solving America's problems one after the other and making cash for us along the way. Trump threatens tariffs and countries give in faster than Hunter Biden at hooker camp. If you listen to Trump, you knew this would happen. But if you listen to the media, you would be convinced it wouldn't. I wonder, could this be the biggest economic policy-making error of their lifetime?
This may be the biggest economic policy-making error of my lifetime.
I don't think there's a single positive take on this. This is all just bad.
As Mr. Trump's global trade war escalates, so do the odds of a recession.
Donald Trump is single-handedly, unilaterally, and for no reason plunging America into economic crisis.
24 hours after Donald Trump intentionally detonated a bomb in the heart of the most resilient economy on the planet.
Man, those idiots miss the mark more often than Stevie Wonder playing lawn darts. Of course,
course, Armageddon never materialized. Instead, as countries make concessions and our economy takes off, the media is now forced to admit that these evil tariffs are working.
He's been issuing many threats of tariffs, but they clearly have been working.
Absolutely a victory on behalf of the Trump administration.
On this deal, the European Union, this is a big win for the U.S.
It's a triumph of a lot of things. Certainly the president ought to take a victory lap.
The early reviews are in on the new trade deal announced with the European Union. The Financial Times says the deal marks a victory for Trump.
Oh, you know that was hard to say. I mean, Jesse has a harder time saying, I'll pick up the tab. Even one of Trump's biggest critics is admitting the president was right all along.
I, along with probably most people, were saying at the beginning, oh, you know, by the 4th of July, somebody had to think how the country was, the economy was going to be tanked by then. The stock market is at record highs. I know not everybody lives by the stock market. I would have thought, and I got to own it, that that these tariffs were going to sink this economy by this time, and they didn't. So, you know, how do we deal with that fact? Because that's the fact.
It seems Bill's slowly coming around. I reckon he's a tariff away from sunbathing at Mar-a-Lago. Because we've seen time and time again, the media quickly brand Trump's moves an impending failure. Then they fall flat on their faces. But Trump's like a pool shark, always thinking 3 shots ahead, positioning himself for a win every week, sinking one ball after another. We'd call him Minnesota Fats if J.B. Pritzker hadn't already called dibs on the name. But Trump's hardline negotiations aren't just successful with tariffs. He's doing the same in Ukraine. Europe is committing billions to buy U.S. arms and send them to Ukraine, and NATO members have increased their defense spending to 5%. While they walked all over Biden like he was already 6 feet under, Trump is getting allies to pay their fair share. Now you're wondering, I thought Trump wanted to end the war. Me too. But if you know that that's not in the cards for now, the next best thing is to monetize the mess. Stop being the piggy bank and instead be the pig. Now, maybe it's all that experience in real estate, but Trump knows how to monetize a problem. He sees some chip paint in the den, and he lowers his offer. He notices a crack in the window. He demands a discount. He sees a creepy neighbor and calls the whole deal off. This instinct works almost everywhere, including college campuses. At home, Trump threatened federal funding after anti-Semitic protesters wreaked havoc on Ivy League campuses. And what happened? Columbia pays $200 million in fines. Harvard is in talks to pay over $500 million. Meanwhile, UCLA will have to pay more than $6 million for allowing protesters to build a Jew exclusion zone. Normally, that's just called the basketball team. Trump put it on their tab, and suddenly hating Jews wasn't so much fun. But that's Trump's gift, to create something valuable out of thin air. He didn't look at these woke colleges and think, wow, this mindset's been around for decades, it's probably hopeless. Nope, he magically comes up with a plan. He slaps a price tag on their behavior. No one's really done that before, at least to my knowledge, and I'm really smart. He realizes that if you can't make bad behavior disappear, then at least charge them for it until they start rethinking the cost of the behavior themselves. You know, we always hear about the carrot and stick approach, using a combo of rewards and punishments to motivate people to do the right thing. But for Trump, the carrot and the stick are the same thing. And boy, is it fun watching him beat everybody with it. Let's welcome tonight's guest. We beat him in a war, but this Brit we adore. Host of Piers Morgan Uncensored, Piers Morgan. She's got us hooked on Stefanik's. New York Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. She roots for the Bruins and leaves libs in ruins. Host of the Kennedy Saves the World podcast, Kennedy. And that wasn't a tsunami. He just did a cannonball. New York Times bestseller. I almost called you Tariff. Here's.
You can call me Tariff.
All right, Tariff. Tariff Von Morgan. You're watching, like, the press have to suddenly, like, admit that they were wrong again. It is kind of refreshing to see Bill Maher actually admit that this is happening more often.
Well, that's the difference this time around, I think, is that Trump is making them eat their words, but they are admitting it.
Yeah.
And they can't do anything else. I mean, Trump has had, 6 months in office, second time around. You could make a very good argument. It's already one of the most transformative presidencies in modern times. He's been there 6 months. So this is a guy, who first time around, I think, was finding his way with the presidency. It was all pretty chaotic. There was a lot of heat on him, Russia collusion, all that nonsense. This time round, he's had 4 years in the wilderness to really plan this. Yeah. And he's hit the ground. I've spoken to him a few times about this. He just came with a plan. And he was like, I'm not going to be knocked off course. I'm going to stick to my plan. I'm going to do exactly what I want to do. I'm not going to die wondering. I'm just going to do it. And he's doing it. And now all the screaming liberals who hate him, even they're beginning to soften. In Scotland, last time we went to Scotland, there was mayhem up there, right? This was like, Kim Jong-un had come to town. This time, hardly any protests. In fact, they liked him there. And when he started speaking with the British Prime Minister, and he started saying, you know what, I just think that running a country's easy. And of course, my Prime Minister was like, is it? He's been having a clinker of a time. And he said, you just lower taxes, you just, strong on the border, you're tough on immigration, you have fewer foreign wars. And all the people in the UK were going, this sounds great.
Yeah, you know what? You just gave me an idea, Congresswoman. Shouldn't Trump run a masterclass on running a country on YouTube? You know those masterclasses?
Yes.
And you sign up, you pay $500,000, and you just listen to him, and he goes, this is what you do. This is what you do. What do you make of what he's been doing to the Ivy League?
Well, certainly this is an issue. You all remember that horrific hearing with those Ivy League presidents, former presidents, after I asked them questions.
Yeah.
President Trump has been tremendous holding them accountable, and I think this was a real turning point in higher education. And it really epitomizes how far to the left radical academia has become. And that's not what people want. That's not what parents want. And that's not what we want our next generation of leaders. So President Trump has kept his promises and is holding them accountable. And now they are paying the price, as they should, to rebuild American education. So I've been proud to be the leader in Congress and proud to have a president like President Trump to hold them accountable. But I want to add to what Piers Morgan said in your point about a masterclass. President Trump is already teaching the masterclass these past 6 months. It's not just Americans who are looking at the golden age of America. It's world leaders who also understand that he is the alpha among all the world leaders, that he is leading this charge in terms of this golden age in this century. So I'm very...
Did you see his shot, the opening shot, the golf?
No.
In Scotland? Absolutely crushed it. The guy's nearly 80. He went up and he just went boom, and he sort of stood there like Tiger Woods.
Oh, he's probably watching this show right now and going, this is a great show.
A beautiful show.
This is really... Rewind it. Rewind it. I want to play that. I want to hear that again. It is kind of funny, though, Kennedy, how we were told that he was the laughingstock of the global stage.
Yes.
And now he just goes in there and they give him what he wants. Was that all BS to begin with?
Well, they tried to do whatever they could to tank his reputation, whether it was the Russia collusion stuff or the lawfare, the judicial activism. Everything they tried to do was to put him in the most unflattering light possible. But to Pierre's point, he took that time in the wilderness and he really figured out with a lot more discipline than he had in his first term, what do I need to do to actually move the needle and make the country better? Not what do I need to do to boost my legacy so I'll make a bunch of money from Netflix post-presidency. What can I do to be liked by, the angry, tiny mob? Mm-hmm. But what can I do to actually make people's lives better? I hope every president does that. To your point about a masterclass, I hope Democrats do that and stop worrying about appeasing people who, no matter what you do, they will hate you because you're part of the establishment. And the one thing I will say about the tariffs, this is something that everyone should cheer. Like, if we are lowering our deficits and if we have these record-breaking numbers, the only thing I ask, I feel like we're halfway there, there should be an automatic switch that if we have a $300 billion trade surplus, that should immediately trigger a tax cut, especially for middle-income Americans who get absolutely hosed even in a great economy.
That is a great point. Yes. Iris, this is like one of those weird phenomenons where the sequel is better than the original movie. I'm trying to think of it. It's like Godfather. This is Godfather.
It's like Empire Strikes Back to Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? Like Star Wars is okay.
Yes.
But then that whole baby mama drama thing in Star Wars was like, oh, is his father? You know, I would like to say one thing, though. And, you know, we don't like to gloat a lot on this show. But when all this tariff stuff talking was, even the people on the Republican side were like, whoa! Yeah. And I believe it was two gentlemen that sat here and said, one of them in particular, a tall, light-skinned brother, said, trust the process.
Yeah.
Let them see what happens. The only thing I would like to see is no more pre-recorded hate sessions on the president. It has to be live. All these news, they're not even, you got to stop calling them media and stuff like that. We just need to call them just bitch-ass crybabies. That's what they are. It's like no matter. Apparently they know a few in their neighborhood. But like no matter what it is, their first thing, oh, this is gonna be the worst thing ever. At what point do we have to say you have to do it live?
Yeah.
So then they can correct themselves live on air. Because they go on and they just put graphs up. We saw last week, they put a graph up, but it was upside down. Yeah. Like they just put stuff up on the walls. Like, look how bad it is. But everyone outside is like, the sun's out.
Yes.
Everyone's doing good. Like, the lights are on. What are you talking about? At some point, these networks have to say, enough. Like we have to get people in, just report the news. You don't need your personal feelings. Just say, here's the plan. Here's how it's going. And if it goes bad, then you can bring in your experts. But they just need to stop with the constant hating, because it's embarrassing. How they come on TV every night and have to change their story, it's like laughable. Like, why? Oh, it's the end of the world as we know it. Good morning, the world's still here. Just enough.
Yeah. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.